Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Antimatter Garage. Behind me is my 1988 Toyota Corolla GTS. It's not stock. I like YouTube channels that are content rich, so normally I'd like to just get started in, but this is the first episode, so it feels wrong not to introduce the channel at least a little bit. Pardon me, it's the middle of winter in Florida, so it's 85 degrees outside. So this will be a normal car channel, meaning that I will do car repairs, no reviews, cutting, grinding, welding, cursing, you know, all the stuff that comes with car channels. I'd like to smash two cars together and make something totally new out of them, and in the distant future I'd like to make a car from the ground up. But in the meantime, I need to get this one running because this is my daily driver. Some of the things you could expect from the channel are: 1. Content rich. And by that I mean a lot of guys don't script their YouTube channels, so they have a tendency to wander on and ramble around, repeat themselves, and I don't like that, so I'm going to do my best. I do like to ramble a bit actually, so I'll do my best. 2. Volume control. By this I mean that the music ought to be the same volume as the talking. It's amazing how many YouTubers don't get this. It's not that hard in editing. I pledge to try and not do that. 3. When I find a YouTube channel that I like, I have a tendency to go back in time and try and watch them all from the beginning and get all the way caught up to the present day. And I don't know if it's because I'm odd or YouTube is, or both, but I have trouble doing that sometimes. It seems like I watch a guy paint his car blue, and then the next episode he says, "Hey, I'm going to paint my car. The color will surprise you." Blue. So, I've decided to try and help. It's a small thing, but I intend to sequentially number these episodes. That way you'll know for a fact that if I change topics from 3 to 4, that it was intentional. So, finally I wanted to...
Boring.
It's not. It's just for the first... I don't want to. He says content rich, but then he goes blathering on
It's
about
just for the
things.
first episode.
You know how
Don't
long
tell
he's been
them
working
that.
on this thing?
That's it.
8.5 years.
Listen, you know, you really hurt my feelings just then. I'm sick of this.
What do you do? Tell you, oh, life got in the way, I was working for the man, it cost too much, I had other things to do. What a little dandy. I'm gonna go pee in his cola. So the last thing I wanted to mention was about advertising. But before I do, how about I have a sip of this cool, clean, refreshing RC Cola. Oh, right. That's much better. What was I talking about again? Oh, right, advertising. Yeah, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna do it. In fact, I didn't even monetize his channel, whatever that means. Liar. Alright, he's right, I'm kind of lying. So, here's the thing, that working on these cars is kind of expensive. So if I can pick up a little extra and you'd like to support the channel, I do have a store in the description. You can go and buy some merch. Because you apparently can't call it merchandise anymore. And also, if Koenig wants to send me a set of wheels for my car and they're super awesome, I think the least I can do is say, hey, Koenig sent me a set of wheels for my car and they're super awesome, right? But that's as invasive as I'd like it to be. I mean, I watch a lot of these shows, and some of my very favorite guys will go on for 2 or 3 minutes about some video game they play, and it's not even car related, and I get it. They have to live off of this, and I totally understand that's just the way it works, but I don't want that kind of pollution on this channel, so I intend to keep it at a bare minimum. Alright, so before I head out, I just wanted to give you one little gift regarding advertising. And I know most of you already know this, but if it helps even one guy, then the whole channel will be worthwhile. you ever click on a YouTube video and it says like your video will begin in 30 seconds, or you can skip this ad in 5 seconds, and you can get rid of all that. All you have to do is Google how to do it, but I found something called ad block, and you put it into your browser, not YouTube, your browser, in the add-ons or extensions or whatever your browser calls them, and they go away. But if it's one thing I have confidence in is humans' ability to ruin things, and in fact they're already blockers, and then blockers, and it goes on, and this isn't going to last very long, but for the time it does, my life's much happier on YouTube, and probably put a nail in the coffin of getting any sponsors that way, didn't I? But anyway, I hope this helps, and I'm sure that it won't last long, but it sure helped me. Alright, I've had enough of you. Arm yourself. Oh, you want a piece of this? Yeah, I do. Bring it on. What is that? What? There's no such thing as a yellow lightsaber. Well, yeah, there is. I think. What's so great about purple? Excuse me? Samuel L. Jackson had a purple lightsaber, and by definition, everything Samuel L. Jackson does is cool. Alright, let's just start. Looks like you got a big banana. Alright, Banana Man, let's go. Oh, not again! Thought you were supposed to go low. No, that's on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't work with you if you can't count. Plus you're swinging that thing around like a baseball bat, you stupid goon. Think it'll buff out? I don't know. Maybe. Alright, that's it. No more lightsaber fights around the cars. So I'm just going to move around the car a little bit and show you different angles. As I said, this is a 1988 Toyota Corolla GTS. It's also known by its body code, the AE92. I'm not really sure why they use that as a means to identify a car, because this is an AE92 and so is that. So it doesn't even accurately describe my car. But that's what it is, and let me tell you a little bit about it. This car is not faster than a Ferrari. It won't outhandle a Porsche, and it won't get better gas mileage than a Toyota Prius. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find any category in which this car is going to take number one. To make matters worse, it's overshadowed by its beloved older brother, the AE86 Toyota Corolla GTS, which was made famous in a cartoon called Initial D, which was about a drifter, and of course the drifting crowd, which really liked that vehicle because it was lightweight, inexpensive, well-balanced, and most of all, rear-wheel drive. Alright, all you guys out there with your fancy rear-wheel drive, you think that front-wheel drive sucks so bad, let me just tell you a little something about front-wheel drive. Yeah, you're right, it sucks. I mean, seriously, I can't think of a single positive thing to say about it, and I think that Toyota did a huge disservice to this car when they changed the format to front-wheel drive. So with all those negative things, why am I working on this car? Well, that's because I didn't mention all the positive things about this car. It got excellent gas mileage. It was fun to drive. I think it looks good. It's a lot like the AE86 Corolla, but it's shorter and wider, making it sportier looking, and I think it looks great. It may be slow today, but in 1988, you'd be surprised that this car could keep up with. And above all, it had legendary reliability brought to you by the venerable but highly respected 4AGE engine that it packs under the hood, the same one in the AE86. But most of all, I'd say, it's because this was the first car I had coming out of college. This car went through thick snow in Iowa and blazing heat in the state of Florida. I ran out of gas with my girlfriend in this car. I've owned this car for 26 years. In short, this is my forever car, and I love it. With all that said, let me show you around the current state of the car and the things that I've done to it.
This is a 3-liter V6 1MZ FE engine taken directly from a Toyota Solara donor car. It's equipped with a TRD supercharger, which I still have to finish the install on. The motor fits. The hood doesn't close, but I'll get it to close. It's very, very close. I still have to make, so I've made all the motor mounts, but I still have a couple supports at the front to make, but I wanted to do the exhaust first. I had big plans for the exhaust, but now it's starting to turn into using something from the stock engine, and I'll have to see what I can do on the other side. So it's important to note that this is actually quite an economy-based engine. It only produced 200 horsepower when it was brought out, and after they redid how horsepower was calculated, it was downrated to 190 horsepower. So it barely puts out any more horsepower than the first engine swap I did that I'll tell you about some other time. Toyota claims that by installing the supercharger, you'll get 250 horsepower out of it. Now I have something they call a book. A book is a sort of like being on the internet except without the power. And in this book, there are some equations, and I put the specs for this engine into those equations and found out that I think 250 horsepower is a little over-optimistic. I'm thinking a little more like 215 horsepower. Theoretically, I could do a lot better by stuffing something else in there, and even another 4-cylinder, maybe a turbo or something. But some of those options weren't available when I first started this. And this has proved to be an extremely reliable engine in my wife's car, so I was happy to go with it. So as you can see, the engine install is pretty far along. I'm actually working on the electrical system right now. That makes for a pretty boring video, so I'll probably just do that off camera and do the first episode about the interior, which I will show you now.
Before I open this door, a little bit of a disclaimer here. I'm fortunate enough to have a 3-car garage, but once you put 3 cars in it, there's not that much room to store things, and so unfortunately the parts had to go inside the car. So my recommendation is don't look directly at it. Okay, let me try not to be too shaky here. The blue bag is garbage. Box contains parts, and that is a speaker box. This car looks a lot worse than it actually is. Like I said, a lot of these parts are stored in here. Some of them get taken out and installed, and then it'd be all nice and clean in there, but I've run into a bit of a bump in the road. The bump is that I can't really use the original dashboard. And I came up with my own design, of which you see some pieces, and I don't like how it's coming out. So I intend to change that up, and I have yet to decide exactly how I'm going to do that.
All right, let me give you a rundown of the modifications that I've made or I will be making. I guess the most obvious, of course, is the 3-liter V6 engine with the TRD supercharger on basically stock internals. It has a lightened flywheel with performance clutch and a limited slip differential. The suspension is entirely adjustable with Koni adjustable shock absorbers as well as coilovers. I've purchased a carbon fiber hood to help reduce some of the weight, but unlike most car guys, I intend to paint that to the color of the car because I want the exterior of the car to remain basically stock. And so the only thing really different, of course, is the SSR wheels that I put on here. They're 16 inches. Other than that, it looks pretty much stock from the outside. In addition, I put much larger brakes from a 1993 Toyota Celica, which necessitated a 5-lug conversion. And I've done that in the front and the back. And of course, the interior modifications that I mentioned before with a much upgraded audio system. In fact, most of the weight that the car gains is from the audio system. So that's about it. Just a bunch of other little tidbits here and there that I'll probably cover in future episodes.
That is the end of this episode. And yes, I am painfully aware that during this episode I pledged to give you a content-rich experience, and then proceeded to give you essentially no content. By the way, lightsabers are content. What I'm going to do to make up for that is I am going to post episode 2 at the very same time that I upload this one, so that you can go on and see where I'm at on the Corolla and what I'm working on, and it'll be pretty much nothing but content. Also, there probably won't be very many more lightsaber fights because, holy cow, that is really time intensive. But no promises. I have another channel called Antimatter Skunkworks. You could go check that out. There are a few episodes out there already where I build stuff other than cars. And I don't know how to end those videos any more than I know how to end this one. But what I do is I give you a moment of zen. And so here's a little video clip that hopefully will make you feel better.